We'll go ahead and call to order the Ford County Commission meeting. This is meeting 2022-19. And up first, we have a prayer followed by a pledge of allegiance. And we have Dr. Sean Fletcher here to lead us in prayer.
For we know the word of God is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes in the name of Jesus. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together once again. We ask, O merciful Father, that you watch over those that are here today and those who could not be here. We ask that you give these commissioners the wisdom they need to make the decisions that are in best keeping with the citizens they serve, as well as the county as a whole. We ask these things in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, in front of us we have the consent agenda with the approval of meeting minutes, credit card statement, and the approval of additions and abatements. Patty, if you have a slate, just want to hear about these real fast.
We have two, and they are both tax appeals, one's an exemption.
Okay.
They started it in 2019 and was denied.
Okay.
They had to have more paperwork and do some more filings of other documents. Finally got it done and it was approved. So this would have been like a current 2-year thing. They can go back. It's by statute how many years we can go back.
Okay.
So we did that one. The other one was a board of taxable hearing. We didn't win, we didn't lose, they didn't win either. So I feel it would have been really a lot worse what they wanted, so we're good with this one. So
Okay.
that's what they are.
Okay.
And we still have 2 dark store ones, but we kind of got a good ruling from the Supreme Court, so we're hoping maybe they'll drop them. We don't know what'll happen.
Did you call it dark store?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Empty?
yes. So that's the big ones we've got right now. And out there, they are in August, so we're waiting since the Supreme Court did a ruling, maybe people drop them. We don't know what'll happen.
Sure.
We're waiting, so.
Be interested to hear
Yeah.
how that ends up
I'll let
after
you
that
know.
court.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, we have meeting minutes here, 2 of which I was not present for, and 2 of which you were not present for. With that in mind, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, with the exception of the meeting minutes, and make that a separate motion later.
I second
All right, so we have a motion and second on everything but the meeting minutes itself. I'll go ahead and call a vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye. And I would make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 2022, 17, and 18.
I second that.
Okay, with the motion and second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
So that leaves meeting minutes 2022-15 and 2022-16. And I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I can't second on
I'll
that.
second it.
All right, with a motion and second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. You abstain?
Abstain.
Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to approval for claims for payment. This is the amount of $720,953.68. I'd make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I second it.
With a Motion and second. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. This is the point of the meeting where we have open public comment. Please limit it to 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. And the microphone is open, just tell us where you're from and what you'd like to discuss. So anybody's welcome to approach.
So my name is Steve Ormore, and I'm pastor at First Baptist Church here in Dodge City. And it's my understanding that during this meeting, you guys will be either voting on or deliberating the idea of including our U.S. motto, "In God We Trust." And so I just wanted to speak to that. Thank you for the privilege of just sharing with you this afternoon. We really appreciate that. I know that this is a difficult topic especially for many political entities, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'm total understanding of that. But hopefully something that I share today would be an encouragement to you. So there are many of us at First Baptist Church have recently, in the last 18 months, taken something called a biblical citizenship class. We've learned a lot about what the intent of our founding fathers was and the Declaration of Independence, and also the Constitution, and all of that stemmed back from the Mayflower Compact itself. And a meeting where they were deliberating what to do with our Constitution, at a point where they were not making very much progress at all in their deliberations and their reasonings, Benjamin Franklin addressed that group, and I want to just read to you just a short portion of what he said, and I'll just leave it at that, okay? He said, "In the beginning of the great contest with Great Britain, when we were sensible to danger, we had daily prayer in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequent instances of a superintending providence in our favor. Have we now forgotten that powerful friend? Or do we imagine we no longer need his assistance? Sir, I have lived a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel." Thank you.
Thank you. There's still time left on that topic if anybody wants to come up. All right, any other topics from the public discussion? Okay. We'll move on to unfinished business. The very first one is planning and zoning. We have a rezone, and it's on 11295 112 Road.
Good afternoon.
Aye, motion.
Hello?
Gentlemen, you should have before you is resolution number 2022-23. What this is a 40-acre parcel that's been split off to 3 tracts. And the owner wants to take one of those tracts, which is 19.4 acres, and split 2.5 acres off of it so that a residence can be built on it. There's a shop located on that parcel, and the owner is wanting to update it and put it a residence into it. There is one condition that we would ask, that neither the owner or the real property described in Exhibit A or any successors of interest shall request or otherwise attempt to subdivide any additional lots from the remaining 16 acres. The reason behind that is when they first went out, they promised just the 3 lots. And now they're going for another lot, and the neighbors are concerned about getting a trailer park out there. They're not wanting that. So with me adding this condition, the neighbors were in favor. They didn't have any objections once that condition was added to it. Any other questions?
It's interesting. I make a motion to approve the request to rezone the property at 11295 112 Road from rural residential to suburban residential.
I will second. Melissa, does this, so that says, no more to be subdivided off of the 16.9 acres
Correct.
remaining?
Correct.
Is that 16.9 acres, is that all of the,
That's
does
what.
that include all of the rest of the lots out there, or
It
just
does.
that one?
The other lots are already just 2 acres and they can't be subdivided anymore.
Oh, they're already two,
They're
okay.
already, yeah, they're already two.
Okay, thank you. No further questions?
All right. With the motion and second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you,
motion
Joe.
passes. Thank you. All right, next up is RFP results, energy performance contract project.
Gentlemen, after extra and more extra review, and going through the actual projects and information provided during this process, the committee has selected Iconergy to be the vendor for the energy performance contracting project, and that is the admin's recommendation to the board.
I'd make a motion to award Iconergy the energy performance contract.
I would second.
Motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. No legal counsel?
Not right now.
Okay. And we will turn this over to the county administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the admin report is for County Engineer John Hobby Watts.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John.
John, how are you?
I'm doing good. Last month's visit was in the middle of the month, different, it's only been a couple of weeks since I was here last time. I've got some updates on things. I reported last time on the Iron Star Wind Farm that they have completed their obligation. So the county councilor was going to review the steps needed to initiate closing road use and maintenance agreement. Ball rolling on that item. On the Gilmore Cheese Plant traffic study and road design for improving 112 and Outlaw roads. Our company continues working on the final design plans for the road and paving improvements. We'll be submitting, it's called the traffic plans to KDOT in the next week or two, which includes pavement marking, signage, and the temporary traffic items. KDOT will review those and give us comments. And then we'll be working on basically the final plan, submittal, early part of August, submitting it early part of August to KDOT on that project. KDOT will review those plans and provide comments, and the goal is to submit basically the final plans by the end of August, and KDOT will move forward with letting the project in December then. So we're still on track to meet all those goals from a design standpoint. Talking with Road Bridge, the consultant working on the right-of-way acquisition will be out in the field later this month to start communicating directly with landowners for acquiring the needed right-of-way for these roadway improvements. That will be completed before, probably before the bid letting. This late summer, early fall is the goal for acquiring the needed right-of-way. And getting utilities moving will be the next step along with that as well. The low water crossing project on 127 Road between Kettle and Marshall. We worked communicated with the Corps of Engineers that would be reviewing the permit application. They provided us a favorable definition of what stream bank full is, or as far as sizing the culverts that will carry the flow through that structure. So the proposed four railroad half-tanker culverts will provide the sufficient capacity for those permits. And we're working on the final permit documents now, then to send to the Corps with the final plans. We can review the permits and get those in place. Once the permits are received, then we'll proceed forward. We'll come to the commissioners and request permission to advertise the project for contractor bid. Paved road resurfacing project. So currently we're working on developing bid documents for 113 Road from Comanche Street north to Highway 50. We're actively working on getting those bid documents together, and my intent would be in August to open bids for that project. I don't have a date yet. We'll see, or once we get probably 75% done with the bid documents, that's when we'll start talking about bid opening dates. While I was here this morning, Chris and I drove Jewel Road. That was reclaimed last year, just to evaluate what the roadways look like. As I mentioned before, we've identified some premature cracking. Visually observing the condition, the road or the pavement is not visibly changing. It still has the cracks obviously in it, but it's not breaking apart or moving, heaving, and anything like that. So that's good news. Talked with Terracon this afternoon as well, that they had procured a company to help them test the cores that they've taken. They don't have the results from that yet, but they're getting close. So by the time I get out here, first of all, hopefully we'll have those information so we know where we're headed after that. I think as far as active projects, that's all that I've got as far as updates right now. This morning, Chris and I drove a little street on the south side of town called May Drive. The county had done some work there on, it's a gravel street. Done some work there, placed some sand to shape the road. A few spots softened up after the rain last weekend. Road Bridge received a concerned citizen comment, since we went out and looked at it, and it does need a little action. It's got some ruts in it, a few spots where they placed some sand, so they'll send some equipment out there to get that dressed up. Provide a better ride. Another thing I was gonna comment on, it's not directly to do with the county, but I noticed coming into town at Spearville that the highway contractor has got started on the turn lane projects. They're coming into Main Street at Spearville, and that part of Main Street blocked off from highway traffic turning in there, so I think it started with pavement releases out there in this group. Concludes my report for the day. I'll open up any questions if you have any.
John, I got an article here that was released on June 30th. U.S. Federal Railroad Administration is officially released the notice of funding opportunity for Railroad Crossing Elimination Program. It's a newly created grant for crossing projects that improve the safety and mobility of people and goods. $573 million for fiscal year 22 is to be opened up to state and local applicants. Should be hitting the Federal Register here shortly, and that'll be open for 90 days. And I think back to the crossing that we've talked about in the past on Garnett, over here just west of Spearville, a couple of miles. And we had kind of talked there at one time with the railroad there about they were wanting some crossings closed, and I'd like to see that deal improved. And if there's anything that we could do, maybe in conjunction with some grant funding here, or something like that to see if we can't possibly do something about that crossing.
Okay. We can certainly give it a look, and
Chris?
We did have a field check out there with KDOT and BNSF. It's been a month and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, so it's still in the works.
Okay.
So they're still going through the motions and the processes on that.
Okay, well, this may be something that we can tap into and help with that project, I don't know, but that's, anything that we can kind of help move that project along.
now, I was gonna comment, when you brought up the funding opportunity, that KDOT is hosting a conference of sorts next week in Wichita on infrastructure improvement grant opportunities related to the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. And I do plan to attend that two-day meeting in Wichita, and Chris is gonna be there as well, representing the county to find out KDOT's take on the funding opportunities from the federal level, collaborating with other local government agencies on how to take better advantage of those funds. So see what information we can glean from that meeting as well, and there'll be a lot of KDOT folks there as well. We can see if we can communicate with the proper folks there on this particular item and get some information.
John, I think we're gonna look into the area where it's a railroad crossing into the Cargill, where we have the crossing right there. The lights just seem to be something that need to be addressed.
That's on extension of trail 5400, 5400.
Yeah. Probably just need lights. Busy area.
Very busy area. Okay.
And then on the 127 road project, John, do we have any idea what our timeline is with the events that need to happen there yet?
So the permits generally take at least 30 days to get those approved once we send them in. We'll be sending those in probably next week. There's some fees associated with those that the county will have to send in, so Chris is going to work on procuring checks for those and get those permits sent in. So as far as bid opening, I'd say this fall, early fall would be an appropriate timeframe to look at, and construction. Maybe this winter would be ideal, and typically we're gonna have less risk of the spring rains and significant moisture events.
Okay.
Just, I guess, a forewarning, I know the contractors that we deal with are booked up pretty good for periods of time, so it's just gonna be a lot of it subjective to when they can get available to build it. Reach that contractor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
John, what was the time frame on the 102 road to Garnett?
So 102 Road to Garnett, we kind of switched that one out with the cost estimate we put together that exceeded what the county's budget was for this year, so that's why we switched it with 113 Road, and the intent on 113 is to get it open to bids in August, and then we'll go 102 Road next year.
And is 102 still the intention to kind of shave it down and make it less of a drop?
Well, at least on the slopes coming off the edge of the road,
Yeah.
you're thinking the hill right as you come towards the highway.
Yeah.
But we could certainly look into that. That might require right away to do something like that,
Okay.
to drop it down and widen it out. We could certainly look into that. Maybe improving it to a certain degree. If the ditches are pretty deep, maybe we do something within the right of way.
Okay.
One potential advantage of pushing it to next year as well is we've got an asphalt contractor working on the highway.
Right.
They
Take
should be
advantage of
paving
that.
next year, and when they start ripping up the old highway, they'll have a lot of old concrete. Highway 50 is asphalt on top, but down below there's old concrete from the 1940s, I think it is, or 50s, when they built that originally. And they'll be ripping some of that stuff up.
Do some stabilization with that, or what do you think of the concrete?
Crushing it up and using it for base rock,
Yeah.
potentially. So it'd be right there, actually by 102 Road or so.
Never good. Okay.
The shorter we can haul materials, the better.
Yeah.
$5.50 diesel.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And if they're
site.
We can save mobilization costs, that's another deal too,
Certainly so. Entice them to bid the project and see what happens.
so. Okay.
Ready for the platform.
Certainly will do so. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The next item on the admin report is the Ford County National Motto. And I will turn this over to Vice Chairman Tassett.
Thank you, Administrator Gilbert. Received a request that I bring this up. We've kind of gotten it through, had the opportunity to look it over. It was a request that we consider adopting a resolution to display the national motto, "In God We Trust," and I personally think this is a great deal. I'd like to thank Pastor Stephen for coming up and saying his words a little while ago. Those words from Benjamin Franklin are some of my favorite from my studies of our founding documents, whether you're all of them, Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, but the Herculean lift that those folks had in order to come up with our Constitution. It's nothing less than astounding to me that we came up with this beautiful document that we continue to live by, 70 years or so later now. So, it seems to me in today's world that the more outlandish, the more immoral, the more indecent that someone or some group can be, the more willing participants we are in advancing that, or just what word am I looking for? Glorify that kind of behavior and that kind of thought process, and that I believe our media are culprits in that. I'm sorry for saying next
Hanging on every word.
But we are all guilty also as consumers of that, and to look at something like this now, any opportunity I think we have to harken back to morality, back to decency, any opportunity that we have to promote patriotism in our country, I'm willing to stand up and shout loudly in favor of that. So I'm happy that we're considering this today. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
I'll second that. So with the motion and second, further discussion on the topic?
Do we want to read the resolution, Chairman?
Sure.
Shouldn't take too long.
Go for it.
If you would, I will. A resolution supporting the display of the national motto, "In God We Trust," in Ford County public buildings. Whereas "In God We Trust" is the official motto of the United States. Whereas "In God We Trust" has been used on United States currency since 1864. And whereas the same inspiring motto has been an integral part of United States society since its founding. And whereas in both war and peace, these words have been a profound source of strength and guidance to many generations of Americans. And whereas the national anthem of the United States says and this be our motto, "In God is our trust." And whereas the Declaration of Independence recognizes God, our Creator, as the source of our rights, we hold these truths to be self-evident. that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whereas in 2011, the United States House of Representatives passed House Concurrent Resolution 13, which reaffirmed "In God We Trust" as the official motto of the United States and supported and encouraged the display of the national motto. And whereas, as President Eisenhower said and President Ford later repeated, without God, there could be no American form of government, nor an American way of life. And whereas President John F. Kennedy said, the guiding principle and prayer of this nation has been, is now, and ever shall be, in God we trust. Whereas the county desires to display the national motto to show patriotism and express confidence in our society. Now therefore be it resolved by the Ford County Board of Commissioners to permanently and prominently display the national motto, "In God We Trust," at all county-owned buildings providing public access.
With the motion and seconds, any other discussion on this? Anything else you want to say? Hearing nothing, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is for Community Corrections Interim Director Sonja Channel.
Sorry.
Discuss the FY 2022 fourth quarter employee pay enhancement funding from KDOC.
Hello. So statewide, community corrections received an increase in their grant funding for the fiscal year, the fourth quarter of this fiscal year that just ended for us on June 30th. The sole intent of the money that was received was to enhance employee pay, and the money was distributed to the 31 community corrections agencies statewide last month. So I am requesting to be allowed to divide the allocation that we were awarded equally among staff, to be given in the form of employee bonuses. I've been working closely with admin, human resources, and our advisory board, and have the support of them to come before you and asking this today.
I'll make a motion to approve the Senate Metro Community Corrections fiscal year 2022 fourth quarter employee pay enhancement funding from the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Second
With the motion second, any discussion on this? Do you have a dollar amount that it would actually be presented? That's one thing.
That I was awarded.
Mhm.
So on the adult side, we received $30,000, $13,013.65. On the juvenile side, we received $26,656.40, for a total of $56,670.05.
How many employees, Sonia?
16.
16.
Has admin already done the math on that? Yes. Can you tell us what your numbers look like?
I didn't bring those in there with me.
Okay. I think that's what everybody's trying to figure out. Do you know that? I'll talk to them. Do you
I
have that?
believe it's approximately $3,500.
3541.
Okay.
That's if you're doing it equally across each person,
Yes.
$3,541 and some change. state funding is coming here, and we have an opportunity to give bonuses to your folks and pigeonholing the county into, with the rest of our employees, a situation where we have one department getting bonuses from the state, and that not being the case across the board for the whole thing. So just my observation, my thought.
I absolutely understand that, and I know that the situation that we're in is unique from the other departments in that we are 100% funded through the Kansas Department of Corrections, although we are county employees. So it's just the way that the community corrections grant was written, it just is a unique situation. So I completely understand the uniqueness and challenges of it.
The state knows how we feel about it on the admin side as well.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I would say no.
All right. Thank you.
Gentlemen, to follow up with that, we have a county one-time payment plan that we wanted to present to the commission. I've sent that information to you a few weeks ago, and we discussed this at length, each of us. If approved today, I'd ask for this to be approved for the fourth quarter, so we can work on some of the finer details and make sure that we continue to operate responsibly into the fourth quarter of the budget year.
I'll make a motion to approve the county one-time payment. No seconds.
First of all, I don't even for sure what you're talking.
Okay. Do you want to explain further?
Commissioner Snook, when we spoke about the one-time payment for each county employee, and we had provided you the documentation, and we discussed the escalating one-time payment for each employee. That's what we're talking about.
So, my question to you, is this gonna lure new employees into all the places that need people?
I don't think it'll lure 100% of the employee pool to fill up all of our spots, no.
I mean, like, Cargill out there's offering $3,000, you know, come to work. Does this include that? I mean, I guess, we discussed it in my house. Since that time, I've been thinking about it, because we need to keep all the employees we got. We also need to lure some more employees in. And does this do that?
This is a first step, and it's a big step to working towards that, yes.
See, I mean, like, I go down the highway out here on 13th Road, and I see the sign out in front of the sheriff's office. Lots of people, I mean, does Bill need, how many employees do you need? Where's Bill at?
Back here.
How many employees are you needing out there?
Probably around 20.
Well, is this gonna recruit people, or is this gonna be fair for staff?
It will help recruit, but it'll also help with retaining the employees that we have. But we're not gonna be able to compete with private industry.
plant way better than Cargill plant. I know that because the fact that I've seen things that have to work on Cargill, that works for GM. And it's not a very much complex. I think our county has a better opportunity to recruit people down the road and things like that. But, there again, I'm wondering if there's a lure in this deal. You want to talk to it? Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think, like JD said, you know, the thing is we have county employees, they work hard, diligently, dedicated. You know, is it gonna draw anybody else in off the streets right now? I don't think so. But, it's a nice, I guess, a way for you all to say thank you to the employees. You know, it's still, it's a bonus to benefit, still gonna be taxed, so they're not gonna take home that lump sum per se.
So are you saying if somebody's been here 15 years, they get the same bonus somebody who's been here 2 weeks?
Since we don't have a pay plan in the county, we don't recognize longevity.
Well, shucks.
You know, it's hard to.
My plan was terrible.
It's hard to figure when, I think everybody's at minimum 40 hours now. So we've got 40-hour week employees, so 160 months, we got 171 month hour, and 231. So 8-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, and 24-hour shifts. So, I mean, everybody does something different. It's rough, but I can tell you from my standpoint, my office, I have staff that's just absolutely, they're burnt out. But thankfully, I can tell you they're dedicated, otherwise they wouldn't be there. So this would be something to at least say thank you. Just a little.
So you're in favor of this?
I am in favor.
You know, I think so much of you, I've known you since you was a little kid. And you're by far one of my finest acquaintances in my life is your family.
Thank you.
So, on that note, I'm going to second.
Okay, so we have a motion and second. So just open up for further discussion. I think one thing I'd like to see in the future, I know this is one-time injection, but I think in the future, I think what I'd like to see from the commission standpoint is a wage study. I know those are expensive, but a professional one done to really see where we're out of whack. I mean, if we're down 20 people in a department that overlooks a jail and patrols our roads, you know, I know on the fire side, we're down over there, Road and Bridge, we're down. I mean, you can go across the board, we've been talking about landfill where we're down. I think that with a correct wage study that actually tells us maybe what other counties have actually, how they've slid or how they've jumped. I mean, I know last conversation I had with Bill, he was discussing another county where on their jail, they took substantial increases in pay to retain people, to keep people. Because a lot of other government entities have changed their pay as well, and they're picking our good employees away. And I think that's one thing I'd like to see. I'd like to see a dedicated study that actually shows maybe what each department kind of comes into play. So, I mean, I feel like we're low at this point, that we just didn't slide with the rest of maybe the state, country.
And there again, I feel like we are somewhat at the mercy of the state and what they've done here in even the last 6 months. And you go right out Highway 400 over here, and the Fort Dodge Soldiers Home has a sign out there that says we're paying RNs,
Yeah.
you know, $35 an hour to start or something like that. I don't remember for sure exactly what the number is, but we have, I don't see Angela here today, but
She's back.
she is back,
Yeah,
okay. You know, I mean, her department is in direct competition for those positions, and you know, I agree with you. I think that wage study is something that needs to happen. As far as the one-time payment thing, and I know I'm gonna sound on this. Sheridan said, it's a great way to say thank you. I agree that it probably is, and I am thankful for each and every one of our employees. My problem happens when, or part of the justification for this was the pinch that people are feeling with recession and that kind of thing, and I get that. I'm paying the inflation prices myself and feeling the pinch, and I know that a lot of us are. But it's not unique to us as Fort County employees. That suffering is happening across the board with everybody in Fort County. The only thing that is unique about it is we have this little pool of money right here that we could approve $500,000 to go out in these bonuses to our people, and that's not an option for anybody else.
Government, non-government.
Non-government, right. And those are the folks that have paid the bill and created that pool of money right now. So that is where I have a hang up. I feel like just because we can do this doesn't necessarily mean that we ought to. So, there's my piece.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Again,
Opposed?
I'm going to vote against.
Next item is for Communications Director Elliot Lee.
Welcome, Elliot.
I don't have anything here with it. So, in front of you, you've got our renewal for Code Red, disaster notification system, community notification system. For the next year, it is higher than it was in previous years. Edwards County works under our contract now, or works under our account now, so they reimburse us for the additional money. So, budgeted expense, nothing's changed from.
And when you say higher, what was last year's? Was it 12 something? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And Edwards County Commissioner pays the additional for their county to cover, but it's population fees.
Okay. Make a motion to approve renewing the annual, this is Code Red?
I second.
All right, with motion second, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gentlemen, the upcoming meetings we have are the National Association of Counties Annual Conference and Exposition. That'll be July 21st to the 24th. In Aurora, Colorado, that's Adams County. At this point, I believe Vice Chairman Tassett is registered to attend that, as well as I am. I don't know if you guys are interested in going to that.
It's an amazing hotel. I haven't been to this one, but those properties are just outstanding. That's one of the best hotels in the United States. But not just saying the conference would be good.
Right.
Yeah. If you get a chance to go to that property, just saying.
We have the joint public meeting with the city. That'll be at Santa Fe Depot, August 1st at 5:30. We have the Dodge City Days. The theme this year is Color of the West. That'll be July 28th through August 7th. The last item on there is the election information from County Clerk Debbie
We will
Cox.
be starting in-office voting July 14th. The last day to register is July 12th.
The last item on the admin agenda is the executive session for attorney-client privilege and alternative review, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So I recommend the board would recess into an executive session to discuss expanded Sunday sales pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 754319B2. The open meeting to resume at this location 4:40. In addition to the commissioners, the county administrator, assistant county administrator, and the county counselor. That should be included in the executive session, so that'd be my motion.
And second.
So motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we are back out of executive session. We have in front of us some old business and potentially some new business to clear up some communication language that we became privy of from the state. So
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I guess I would make a motion that the board revokes resolution 2022-21.
and I would second that. And just for clarification, that would remove the cereal malt beverage Sunday sales.
Right, that was a resolution authorizing Sunday sales of cereal malt beverages.
Okay, so I will call a vote to remove that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And resolution 2022-24 would allow the sale at retail of cereal malt beverage and alcoholic liquor in the original package within the unincorporated area of Ford County, Kansas on any Sunday except Easter.
I would make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-24.
And I will second that. With a motion and second, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the meeting.
One more thing, Mr. Chairman, the staff isn't in here anymore, but we had a long time
Can
employee.
you pull your,
We had a long time employee pass away. He's retired, Kurt Schreiner, very close to a lot of our staff, and it's affecting quite a few of them. We didn't bring it up I asked not to bring it up in the open public comment section because it was emotional. I didn't want us to go down that path just yet. Maybe the next meeting we'll have something more and provide more information for you to recognize it.
Okay.
thank you. Our thoughts and prayers out to his family and our employees too that are suffering his loss.
All right, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
A motion second, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?